Welcome to From Loneliness to Overflow with Matina. I'm your host, a holistic healing coach, divorce recovery coach, and a passionate advocate for personal growth and your guide on the journey to healing. This podcast is for those who are struggling with the feelings of loneliness, disconnection, feeling stuck, and who are ready to discover their inner potential and live a life overflowing with love and connection. Inside, we're going to explore the path from pain to transformation, bridging the gap between loneliness and abundance through heartfelt conversations, spirituality, energy work, and self-awareness. So let's get started on this soulful journey together. Welcome to another episode From Loneliness to Overflow with Matina. Today's guest is a beautiful soul who is so creative, who has such a huge heart of love, where she wanted to and has tried to put everyone in and create from this level of giving, yet in that giving was seeking herself. In that giving was seeking others to see her. In that giving was seeking the acknowledgement that we all need and desire from our loved ones. And I can't wait to hear more about her journey and share with all of you so that anyone who is and has gone through something extreme can know that there's always hope on the other side. Welcome, Amy.
Matina, thank you so much for having me. I'm always so happy to talk to you. Anytime that we have is amazing, but doing this is really spectacular.
I am so grateful for you as well, and I can't wait the wisdom that's going to come through from you and your shares and your unique story, because from the little that we got to know each other, I know that there is not only strength, perseverance, there's always also so much love that you embody and that has carried you through all of those hardships, and where you are now loving upon your beautiful children and creating a life to love and hold up to. So I can't wait for everyone to hear what that looks like and what that means. Before we step into the conversation, though, please introduce yourself.
All right. My name is Amy Harper. I am an oil painter and I am the CEO and owner of Art Bear. And I am on a mission to teach women how to regulate their nervous systems, connect with their identities, rediscover their inner peace through sustainable and gentle, creative, artistic practices that anybody can do. So that's my mission.
That is so beautifully articulated. And as simple as it sounds, it is very, very important. There's always a story behind the businesses that we do, behind what we stand for, behind what we are sharing with the world and what you're sharing with the world. So the question I have for you, Amy, is what was your disconnection or loneliness moment that has actually led you into building this business and showing up for women?
That is a very straightforward question. Without a straightforward answer, I will do my absolute best. So I am going to start with a simple fact that every woman knows. A man trying to take advantage of a woman in a way that is harmful, makes her feel small, really in a way that is psychological warfare. Isolating her, manipulating her, all of these horrible things. I hate saying this, but that is a very stale story. It's been done for millennia. This is something that I hate it, but so many women can relate to. And I went through it. I was never taught self-worth. I was adopted into a family that already had a massive amount of problems, and I grew up as a bit of a punching bag for everybody else's issues that they had with themselves. And I repeated that process into a very very scary marriage with a narcissist. I had children with the narcissist. And he did what's called, my lawyers called a cash grab. He staged a coup to take over all of my assets. Uh, very shortly after my mother died. It was horrible, and I could go into the details of it if you want me to, but as I said, it's a stale story, and that's not what's important. What's important is I was isolated from every person I knew. My own family went into court to testify against me without even calling to ask me if my ex-husband's story was true. It was devastating. I was alone in an Airbnb and I was fighting for my life physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I'm going to compare myself to a car. It's like my mind, body, spirit was a large van. The mechanics of the van were off. It was always breaking down. The GPS was, you know, had us set for a course to ultimate destruction. And then there are all of these passengers in the van. There's terrible self-worth and, a complete disconnect from a sense of identity, zero support system, and just a whole other massive crew on board. However, while I was on the floor in that Airbnb, trying to tell myself reasons to keep fighting, I felt like I was in this van and there's all this noise, but there was a voice coming. It was so quiet. I can only compare it to what a person could sound like if they were shoved into a trunk. I heard this voice and it was so faint, just telling me that I am meant for more than this. This is not okay. And this is not my story. This isn't my story. This is me living out being the villain in everyone else's stories. Not because I'm a villain, but because they needed a villain. And that's fine. That's their journey. I don't judge. And I am in a position now where I certainly do not let it into my daily life. So that was the moment in the Airbnb. And I was trying to convince myself to stick around and keep fighting.
Yeah. You
And I had
shared a lot in just a few minutes where we get to choose life. We get to decide, yet at the same time, when you have not received a good template, or in this scenario, a good car, and the car has already things around it that's like, oh no, oh, we're just gonna smack it here, it's gonna be fine. We're gonna smack it there, it's gonna be okay. Oh, it still works, it's fine, it doesn't matter. When you grow up in that environment, building up self-worth is a very difficult thing. When you are then in a similar situation later on where the car is barely holding on to its life and it's still wanting to go and it still wants to create something better and it still knows that there is more, and yet you still are questioning, what is the self-worth, why is this happening to me, or what did I do, like these are the typical questions that often people ask.
Mhm.
Now, even though you heard this very soft voice, which was like, there's more, this is not it. And even though you didn't have an example of self worth, what was the deciding factor for you to trust that voice and to be like, I'm going to make this?
What was the deciding factor? Well, this is not an answer that people are going to like, but this is the answer I have. So here goes. Honestly, anger, anger, rage at what had been done to me. when all I wanted to was just to love everyone, take care of everyone, love the world. And they all did this thing to tear me down in the most brutal fashion. I heard this voice, and at first I felt it came up as rage, kind of me saying to myself, how dare they do this? This, and then it would oscillate from rage into despair. But at no moment could I accept defeat. Because if I accepted defeat in those moments, that would have meant my life. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't let go. Um, and then the rage would come up, and I would force myself up from complete nervous system collapse, on the floor, literally can't take anymore. And I would force myself out of that state to get up, to make it clear to all of these people that my voice matters.
Yeah.
My voice matters, and maybe they don't like what I have to say, but that's fine. I'm not here to please everybody. That's okay. Um, but I matter, and it was really the anger that pushed me forward. However, I know now, this anger that I had, how could life hand this to me? How could these people do this to me? This was happening for me. And I say that now, 2 years later, but there is no way that I could fulfill this purpose where I, help women everywhere and show them ways that they can reconnect in a world where we're so disconnected. I could not fulfill this divine purpose with any of the infrastructure for how my life used to be.
Right.
So in order for this new life to emerge, it wasn't even tearing the old structure down. It wasn't even a bonfire. This had to be a nuclear explosion of destruction. It had to be completely, everything had to be crystallized into nothingness.
Yeah.
And the only way forward was through it.
Thank you for your vulnerability and saying rage and anger, because those are emotions and we are emotional beings.
Mhm.
Emotions are the ones that truly drive our actions.
Mhm.
We can sit here, we can be praying like, I want a better life, and I'm going to pray for a better life. I am having an okay life, but I want a more better life, and I'm going to pray for it here, but I'm not doing anything for it.
Mhm.
Or you have the same scenario where you're like, I am in such dissatisfaction and in anger and in rage that whatever happens, this is going to end and something new is going to emerge. That's a decision factor, right? So even though in that moment we don't like it as human beings to be in that so much rage or in so much despair, it is and becomes your driving factor if you choose to. You chose to. You chose to have that to be your driver and to choose now differently. And even though, how dare they, how did this happen? Now, 2 years later, you're the same person who's saying it all happened for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
So going from why me to it all happened for me, how, tell me more about that journey. Tell me more about how did you, and what was that deciding factor? It's like, oh, hold on, this needed to happen.
Yeah. So as I said before, first came rage. Then came the despair and essentially grieving what could never be, all the possibilities, all the disappointments, grieving all of it. But I knew that I had to start with myself. I mean, that's what that's the only place for us to start every day. We start with us. Um, in order to achieve this transformation, I had to completely go deep into the foundation of my own identity, and I had to reshape myself from the ground up. I I didn't make this decision consciously. I started with this decision by working on my levels of tolerance. You know, example, we are all living our minimum standards on a daily basis. The world we have around us right now, that's our minimum standard. And so I started working on my minimum standards, saying I will only accept relationships and friendships with people who are kind and respectful, and I started going down the list of all my, levels of tolerance. And then the transformation became an animal all on its own. It had its own force, and I was just along for the ride. And I have to say that, oh gosh, how many wellness coaches and teachers are advertising? Oh gosh, an incredible amount. And when I look at all of this information out there, I see beautiful people who are glowy and they're centered, and they all have these fabulous flowy kimonos on and they're on a mountain somewhere and it's gorgeous. But the transformation that took place for me was very, very ugly. It was really, really hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I gave birth without an epidural. This was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I spent a year, one thing at a time, really diving into the ugly truth about why everything was the way it was. And then uh, acknowledgement, of course, that's the first part, but then the acceptance of it, dealing with the emotions that come with that, the radical acceptance at times, all of it. It's not pretty. There are no mountains, there are no flowy kimonos. It is brutal work. But we're women. That's what we're built for. And I did it.
We can move mountains as soon as we set our mind to it. And Amy, I commend you for going within because it's so easy to be stuck in the blaming game.
Mm,
He, she, they, this, that. This is that person, this, that. Like we love labels and love labeling people. Even as you were referring to the amazing wellness coaches of the world, and you see them on the mountains looking fine, you're seeing an end result.
yes.
The Amy I'm talking to today is completely different than the Amy from 2, 3, 5 years ago,
Oh, yeah.
right? We see a different phase of people's life, and we see the phase of their lives that they're willing to share.
Mm-hmm.
You sharing so beautifully and authentically right now allows people to know it's not an easy ride. Knowing that your car is completely shut
Mm-hmm.
and it's not working anymore and you have to rebuild from scratch. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes consistency, it takes forgiveness, and it also takes self care and self love.
That I honestly, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the self-care and self-love factor. So for my business, I have interviewed 10 mothers over the past month or so, and I have found that every single one, even if they have, in-laws that live near them and all this help and a support system, or the single mothers that I've interviewed, every single one has talked about the unbelievable guilt that comes with giving themselves the care that they need and acknowledging our humanity, and how many of us have been in complete collapse, but we still get up and solve other people's problems before we take a look at our own. Has that ever accomplished anything great? I mean, sure, maybe it could help, some moms get through the day, okay, I'm just going to get dinner on the table, I'll take care of myself later. But long term, no, we're giving up on ourselves.
Guilt is not only from this generation. Guilt is coming from multitudes of generations back.
Mhm.
And we are in a system. Ooh, my voice is changing. We're in a system where it really affects and takes hard work to say, the next hour and a half, mommy is gone.
Mhm.
Have fun, everyone. It
And
takes effort. It takes planning, effort, all of these things to do that, which is the most ridiculous thing ever.
yes.
Because when you have a man come home, he's like, oh, I have some plans. I'm going to go throw some ball, or I'm going to go with my friends, or I have another evening meeting. They're not planning anything else. They know that that needs to happen. It
Mhm.
needs to happen.
Mhm.
As same way, women get to accept, I'm not going to say need to, but get to accept that they have a
Mhm.
need of self-care, a need of self-love. Amy, if you hadn't put the self-care and the self-love time and a lot of that for yourself, before we dive back in, I have something transformative to share with you. It's called the Alignment Collective, Release, Rebuild, and Rise, my signature group coaching program designed to help you unlock the life you deserve. Every month, we focus on a key area of life, from health to relationships, career, and more. In the first 2 weeks, we energetically release what's holding you back. Then we shift into calling in the abundance and clarity that you desire. And in the final week, we come together for powerful group coaching, sharing our wins, our challenges, and raising the collective energy. Are you ready to release what doesn't serve you, rebuild your foundation, and rise into your potential? Try it for 50% off with discount code GROWTH. Visit matinasingh.com/meditation. The link is also found in the description. I can't wait to support you on this journey. Would you have been in the place that you are today?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. None of this, all of this exists only when that comes first. And I want every person listening to this to know that that is much easier said than done. You know, yes, I'm running this business and I'm a single mother with 2 kids and doing all of these things, but I still struggle with these things daily. It really, so it's not like, oh, do the inner work. Okay, check, problem solved. This is something that I work on every day, but I do not expect perfection from myself. I expect effort.
You just said something very interesting, and a thought popped up where you said, I'm a single mom. And even that's a label. It's a label that we accept as single moms. It's a label that the world wants to know. Are you married, divorced? Like, do you have children, not children? Like, what's going on? Who are you? Are they really asking? But that's not what they are wanting to hear.
Mhm.
They want to hear what is coming around and what's your baggage that you're bringing to the table. And with when we claim ourselves like I am a single mom, we are literally attaching it as an identity upon ourselves, almost as a big board on our
Mhm.
chest and walking around like this is who I am. Well, I stopped saying it. I stopped saying it. I have children. Yes, I have children.
Yeah.
I am a mother. Yes, I am a mother.
Hmm.
But if I remain single, not single, involved, committed, whatever it might be, not on anyone's beeswax.
Hmm.
And owning that even is a form of freedom, of
Hmm.
knowing what we say, because anything we say after I am becomes an identity. We don't want to hold on to that identity.
Mm.
You want to create from the inner world. Like when you were married, how many times have you said, oh, I'm married? Oh, my husband? Oh, this.
And how much do those labels stop us from being clear channels for, to co-create
Yeah.
rather than to just create? And
Yes.
it's so tricky because these labels that you're talking about, there is a part of my ego that loves them, that loves them. And that's not coming from a place of genuine creation or being a channel for ideas to flow through me. That is coming from a place that wears the experiences like some kind of badge of honor, like like at some point of time when Valkyrie would walk around and they would have their armor on and you would look at them and say, "Oh, there's Valkyrie. Look at her go. Wow." You know, yeah, so these labels definitely it's I gotta catch myself in it quite a bit, and there's so much push and pull. It's a daily balance though, I mean, it's daily work. The work doesn't end. We evolve forward.
A
And
hundred percent.
you're much more evolved than I am. When you talk about bringing our baggage to the world, you know what thought came in my head?
Tell
The
me.
thought that came in my head was all showing your baggage to the world. And I'm thinking, well, if I'm showing my baggage to the world, I better rent a tarmac somewhere to haul all this baggage in. I need a warehouse. Let's rid Costco of their inventory and take over the building.
It's a great analogy. It's a great analogy of knowing that, yeah, I have experiences,
Yes.
but those experiences are not me.
Yes. We've been through storms. We are not the storms.
Yes, yes, exactly that. But why do we want to and crave to hold on to those storms? Is because we have, as human beings, two innate needs. One is the need of safety, and the other one is the need of belonging. What do
Yes,
these labels do? These label gives us a sense of belonging.
absolutely.
If I
Absolutely.
don't belong in the pile of married women, I do belong as a single mom pile. Yes, tribe, we are not alone.
Oh my God, this tribe should not exist. I mean, none of these labels should exist, but uh,
But this is what you said. And this is, I love you for saying this, Amy, where you're like, my ego loves them. Yes, they love them because it's a need. Our human wants and desires to keep us safe and to keep us in a form of, okay, if this not it, then this is it.
but
Oh, this is
it's so ironic. I'm sorry to interrupt you again,
fun.
but we're talking about safety, right? And we're talking about the purpose of these labels and how we utilize them. However, they will never ever provide safety. I had a huge, I don't even want to call it an aha moment because I feel like that almost infantilizes the gravity of this. I had a transformation moment um, where I realized that I have been walking around for 40 years with this badge of, oh, I survived this. I survived my father. I survived all of these other things, da da da. However, the reason everything was so hard for me is because that wearing that completely goes against acknowledging in any way who I am. And I realized in this moment, I had this profound moment of expansion and light. And I realized I am not a fighter. I will never be a fighter. Of course, I'll stand up for myself, but I do it from a place of love. And the reason why is because I am a lover. I will always be a lover. I don't want to fight anybody. I want to watch, comedy specials on Netflix and give Hallmark cards and hold hands and make things really awkward. That's what I want to do. Um, and so this label of, oh, I survived XYZ. I am this. Yes, the ego is creating this to bring us safety. However, that is not that has never brought me a single scrap of safety in my life. What actually brought me safety was holding all of this from a place of genuine love. And once I did that, then the ideas came through. That's when I had space to hold my future, the future that I was meant to step into. That's when that happened.
It's commendable. It requires a lot of courage. And it also requires us to be willing to let go of these labels. And we're laughing about these labels and we can definitely joke about them. Yet at the same time, I go back to like, who am I? When people ask us who you are, and even though they're wanting to hear a label, not really truly who you are, it's our own job to understand and discover who we are first.
Mm-hmm.
Only then can you showcase to others where you are at and how you can show up. And Amy, from this whole conversation, from the little girl who came into a home which was disrupted to this amazing woman that you are right now, the innate need of love, of joy, of giving, of sharing is something that no one could have ever taken from you because it was already there. Maybe it was forgotten, but it was always there.
Mm-hmm.
You chose to awaken yourself and make yourself aware of that even more and live that truth higher than all the things and all the baggage that we had carried.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to anyone who is listening who also has a baggage of a Costco warehouse and would be like, I can't see through this?
Um, that is a very important question. All right. You're in the storm and you can't see through it. You're stuck in the Costco warehouse. Those places, it's like a casino. Who knows even what time it is in there, you know? Um, to the people that are listening to me now, this person that has this mission and has it together and able to do all of these things, yes, that looks great and it sounds great, but the work was gritty and so unbelievably hard. And holding that faith, a lot of the times holding the faith that things would fall into place, all that looked like was just not quitting. Just don't quit. Even in this moment, if your inner voice is telling you this is never going to work out, this is absolutely pointless, I'm broken beyond repair, it's not possible to hold faith and all of the other things that we have to do and lift our central nervous systems up in the process. It's just not. So I acknowledged my humanity. And in those moments, I'm talking about, the moments where I was absolutely in a state of the darkest grief of my life. Holding faith in that moment, all that it looked like was just not quitting. That's it. And that's enough. That is so much more than enough. So if you don't have the faith that you're ever going to get out of the warehouse of baggage, that's fine. You don't have to right now. All you have to do is keep breathing, treat yourself gently as possible, and acknowledge your humanity and just don't quit. Even if not quitting, all that means is, okay, you're going to take the day and regulate. And tomorrow, when you wake up, you're going to listen to a 10-minute meditation on calm, on your self worth, anything, even if it's just that 10 minutes. You don't have to believe that it's going to work. Just do it. Just go through the motions. That's what that looked like for me. You know, the healing was really, really, really ugly, but I just kept doing it, even though my inner voice was telling me that this was just a completely beyond pointless and never going to work, and I'm not worth it, and it's never worked before, so why would it work now? All I did was just not quit. The faith showed up eventually, but it took a long time.
I can't express enough gratitude for your vulnerability and honesty right now, because this is the hard truth. This is what we all go through from time to time, including me,
Yeah,
where we have to be willing to go through the ugly to receive the good.
absolutely.
And it's not about you saying yes to the ugly, it's more you saying yes to you.
Hmm.
And you,
And all the aspects of me, you know?
yes, Amy, you've said yes to yourself and all the aspects of yourself multitude of times. And it had to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat till it became second nature, first nature, natural. It's good. We're good. We're in this role now,
Mhm.
right? Give yourself that blessing of time. And again, your honesty, your vulnerability right now is so point on because this really, really, really will help those who are in that storm, who are feeling that like it's pointless. I don't know. I don't know. I don't believe it.
Yeah. But it's not pointless, and it's never pointless, and massive changes are often not sustainable. I mean, gosh, what person out there hasn't picked up a diet that they thought would fix every issue they had with their body only 10 days later to be in the McDonald's drive-through at 2 a.m. Who hasn't? So gentle changes. That's the way to start. And yes, I'm being vulnerable and I'm sharing the ugly truth, but I am so unbelievably tired of us being silent and quiet and gentle about our experiences to the world around us. Even the way we talk about our periods, these horrible names that we have for them, Aunt Flo, time of the month, well, those are very gentle ways to put it, but this experience is not gentle anyway. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Let's acknowledge our humanity. And if anybody wants to talk about the nitty-gritty, the horrible, how hard it was, I am an open book. And I want my strength being on the other side to be a roadmap for people, women specifically, but people everywhere, that we are born as creators.
Yes.
Our spirits chose to be incarnated here and now as women. Even if you have no children, don't want children, or have a litter of them at home, it doesn't matter. Even if you identify as a woman now, but weren't always one, that's because we're creators. We are so much more in sync with these incredible energies. And in these moments where the pressure is too much and we're on the floor of an Airbnb crying, trying to convince ourselves to get up, even in those moments, the reason those moments are so hard is because we have completely lost sync and lost connection with the rhythm of our inner creators. And our avatars can't handle it anymore. We can't do it.
And that's exactly why you do what you do right now, where you are utilizing a simple technique as art to bring self care, bring self love, bring self awareness to women all over the world. Amy, we have a little ritual on this podcast where I get to ask you a question that the previous guest has left. And after the recording, I'll ask you to leave a question for the next guest as well. So here's your question. Oh, this is good. What was your biggest fear and what did you do with it?
Yes. Yes. I love it. And I'm so happy that that is my question. Okay. Um, I've had two. When my journey started, when my transformational journey began, um, my fear was being completely unloved. Completely unloved. However, it transformed. So I realized from all this work, yes, I was completely unloved, but why the hell would I want the love of these crazy people that can't love themselves? It has nothing to do with me. So that was what started. And that was the fear at the beginning. Now the fear is failure. And, that is something that I struggle with daily. And it does get in the way of my own self-care. And remember, I stated before, and this mission exists in its most beautiful form when I give myself self-care first. But fear gets in the way. And I tell myself, I got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. You got to schedule this. You got to do this. You got to get on this call, PPC. You got to do all these things. That's the fear. So the fear has shifted. The fear that I'm dealing with now is certainly much more manageable than the fear that I had at the beginning. But that's a fear that never really fully goes away. I have to learn how to relate to it, given, the struggles of every day, the struggles that come up each day.
Mm-hmm. And the fear of failure is something that we all go through. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone has their own version of it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You're sharing the mission part of it right now and failing. The one thing that the little bit I can add here for you and anyone who is listening is I heard someone say fail always and fail often.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean I don't want to fail often? No, listen, here. Because the reality is you're not going backwards. You're always going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay. Then it suddenly doesn't sound that harsh because, okay, if I do feel I'm failing forward, I'm still keep going. It's all good. And we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna learn. We're gonna learn. We get to choose how we deal and the meaning we give what we have
Mm-hmm.
experienced. Thank
Yes.
you so much, Amy, for your honesty, for your shares, for the laughters, but also the seriousness in this conversation. I truly know that those who are listening and who resonate with the story are like, thank you for saying that. I need to hear that. Or thank you for acknowledging that. I haven't heard anyone else say it. I appreciate you so much for that because it is a very human thing to do. And even just now, you're very real with your fear and you're very real with where you're at right now. So I can't thank you enough for this amazing conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always so wonderful to talk to you, and you don't have to thank me for being real or vulnerable. It's my absolute pleasure, and that's why I'm here.
That's so awesome. Anyone who wants to learn more about Amy, all her information is in the description below. Reach out to her, connect, look at her beautiful art, and see what resonates with you. And if you feel compelled to connect with her further, send her a DM. I'm sure she'll be open to it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. I hope this episode has helped you to feel less alone in finding tools towards a life which is overflowing with love and purpose. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a second to rate and review. Each review helps us to reach more individuals who are seeking healing and personal growth just like you. And don't forget to take a screenshot and share your aha moments on your Instagram stories and tag me, Matina. See you next week. Take care.